Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. As cold weather comes down on Mississippi, the latest models say here in coastal Mississippi, it's just going to be cold and rainy. We're not going to have the ice. That can always change. We'll have Mississippi Power Company coming on the second half of the show to talk us about what they think is going to happen across the state of Mississippi. But what's important to Mississippi Power is not necessarily what happens here, but it's the emergency operations plan they put in place. So as other parts of Mississippi and really this central part of the entire United States is whoever gets the ice storm, and as these power lines start to drop, Mississippi Power Company's team will be involved in helping get people restored again. And we'll be talking more about that in the second half. And then the last segment of today, JT Mitchell's going to join me for the last segment just to hit some of the headlines. But without any further ado, let me move over to my friend Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune and just say good morning. How you doing, my friend?
Ricky, I'm doing great. Hoping that whatever it is, polar vortex, whatever they call it, Snowmageddon, Iceageddon, or whatever, doesn't get down our way. Let's hope it doesn't get down below I-10.
Yeah, the models are looking good. But what's interesting is, people say, what's all the hoopla about? It's when you have a low coming up from Mexico and then this incredible Arctic blast, and they come together, and the way they're coming together with mixed precipitation, and I mean we've seen it before. The impact on the power grid, really the impact on anyone in its path is going to be very significant. Travel, having power at your home and staying warm during what's going to be an extended cold time. I mean, it's going to be extended cold time here in the South, man. So, yeah, it could be. It's a dangerous situation that's unfolding. Let's hope the impact's not as great as certainly they're planning for. That's for sure. How you been, my friend?
Really good, really good. It's a good time of year. We kind of got through the football season. We're playing out the last 3 games of the NFL season. And I'll be out at Super Bowl in a couple of weeks in San Francisco, so looking forward to that. It's after coming through last year's Super Bowl, having it here on our home turf. There's a lot of work and a lot of stress involved with that. It's going to be nice to go to a game outside of New Orleans and cover that. And obviously, there's a lot of news that could come out of that. We have Tyler Shuck up for Rookie of the Year for the Saints. Demario Davis is up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, and Drew Brees and Jari Evans and Eli Manning and Reggie Wayne, New Orleans natives, they're all candidates, finalists for the Hall of Fame. So it should be a big week.
So, yeah, you're on the Hall of Fame selection committee for the NFL, and that was a busy time for you this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it always is, especially this year with having 2 Saints players. The first time I've ever had 2 candidates that I've had to make presentations for. And the way that works, people may not be familiar, is each city in the NFL, each NFL market has a representative for their market, and then they're also obviously take up about 30 cities because you have a couple markets with 2 teams in each city, and then there's I'd say about 16 at-large members from the media, from national media outlets, and then there's 4 players and coaches, former players and coaches, Hall of Famers, that are also on the committee. That's what makes up the 50-person selection committee. And usually the way it works is when a player, say, for instance, Drew Brees, who's up this year, is a finalist, they will pick the representative of that market to make the presentation, which makes sense because I covered Drew Brees' entire career. I'm the one that should have the most knowledge of his career to make his case for Hall of Fame candidacy. Same thing for Jari Evans. So had to make 2 of those presentations. That's a lot of work, but it's rewarding work because the importance of trying to, cement each player's legacy by getting a gold jacket in Canton. And, we got through that process. We actually had the vote last week. I don't know the results of the vote. They keep that secret, but we'll find that out at the Super Bowl at the NFL Honors Show.
Well, listen, not to take anything away from Jari Evans, but let's just focus for a second on Drew Brees. You wrote the book on Sean Payton and Drew Brees, literally, the book on the PhD in offense and how they work together. And it's just an incredible book for anyone who hasn't read it. It's just as applicable today as it was when Jeff wrote it. But man, you had to feel some added pressure. I mean, look, let's face it. Isn't Drew Brees a shoe-in? But the fact is, you still had to present him, and the beauty of you having the opportunity to do that's pretty cool, and you got to feel some pressure too at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I'd put it. I mean, there was a time where these shoe-in candidates, I remember Brett Favre, I think maybe even Peyton Manning, because the meeting is so long, you have 15 finalists, you have to have 5-minute presentations on, then there's discussion after that. I mean, our meetings usually go 8 hours. Lots of times we save the voting group the time of discussing a shoe-in candidate. But the Hall of Fame has actually gone away from that in recent years. They want you to honor the career of the player. They often like to record the presentations. They use it in their coverage of the Hall of Fame. So you do still have to make a full 5-minute presentation on Drew Brees, even though you would think he's a shoo-in. But I've learned recently, especially, we have a new voting procedure that really kind of threw a wrench in the plans last year. We only got 3 candidates into the Hall of Fame from the modern era. We are allowed to put in 5 a year, no more than 5. But we have a bottleneck already. And so to only get 3 in last year because of this new voting procedure, I'm a little worried. I'm still a little worried, even though I think Drew Brees certainly is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I should add, the Saints have never had a first ballot Hall of Famer, not Morton Anderson, not Willie Roaf, not Ricky Jackson. So Drew would be the first, and I think a deserving first ballot, along with, I think, Larry Fitzgerald, the receiver from the Arizona Cardinals, who also has a quality resume to be a first ballot.
Yeah, that inventory of players, every time you're not a first ballot, and most are not, that inventory of available players gets longer and longer and longer and longer. It's a hell of a process, isn't it?
Well, look at next year as a great example. Next year, the ballot adds Ben Roethlisberger, Adrian Peterson, Richard Sherman, Antonio Brown, Andrew Whitworth. They're all very strong Hall of Fame candidates, maybe first ballot candidates. So you add them into the mix. If you don't get in this year, say Eli Manning or Jari Evans do not make it in, now they've got to be back on the ballot next year with those new names on, and they're strong candidates. So there's a discussion that we're going to try and have, I think, in a couple months about, is there something we could do? There's a lot of people that feel very strongly that you should keep it this difficult to get in. Deion Sanders is one. He's come out and said, there's a lot of people in the Hall of Fame I don't think are Hall of Fame. So you have a lot of controversy over, should we open it up and kind of lessen the bottleneck so we can, make it a 10-person class 1 year just to decrease the bottleneck and the log jam that's already created. And then there's people on the other side that don't believe we should, because there's, obviously prestige that goes with making the Hall of Fame. I'm kind of find myself somewhere in the middle here, because it is getting difficult when Reggie Wayne, who a lot of people truly believe is a Hall of Famer, he's been on the ballot now 9 years, and he's going to be on 10 years if he doesn't make it this year. And it's just a long wait for these very deserving players.
Yeah, that's a hard one to resolve. I'm glad I'm not in that room trying to figure out what that solution is going to be. But I get keeping it extremely prestigious. There's a lot.
Well, I tell you this too, and I say this. I mean, just having done the presentation for Brees, when you go back and do the research again, it's been 5 years. Obviously, you just start to appreciate just how incredible his career was. We all kind of saw it, but I think some of us, took it for granted, his greatness. And the more you start to dive into it, the further we get away from his career. It's just mind-boggling, the numbers he put up, the records they broke. I think they had 17 NFL records that he or the team broke. The strongest one to me was, there's only been 15 5,000-yard passing seasons in the history of the NFL, history by anybody. And Drew had 5 of them himself, and no other quarterback in NFL history has had more than 2. So that just shows you how prolific he was, much less, when he retired, he had the career records for passing yards, passing touchdowns, passing attempts, mean, he was the all-time leader in those categories. The last guy that had them all at the same time was Sammy Baugh. So we're going back decades. Just stuff like that. It really kind of reminds you just how special and great he truly was.
Well, then, I can't help but think about Derek Carr. In fact, I saw a statistic. I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I saw a statistic the other day that said wins against teams with winning records. I think that it had Derek Carr with 2 and Tyler Shuck with 3 already. So I don't know if that's true or not, but you said all along that Derek Carr is no Drew Brees. He's not even close. And people were so high on him in the moment. And you kept telling people, don't get your hopes up, man. This is not that. And we got a lot of work to do to find anyone who comes close to Drew Brees. But boy, it's a great reminder for you, isn't it?
Yeah, and I tell you, he's certainly a deserving Hall of Famer, and we'll see when the vote comes out here in a couple weeks. But I'm hopeful. Put it that way.
Yeah, I know you are. Hey, when we come back, we'll get the latest on Saints coaches are back, and what do they do this time of year? We'll see you right after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show. Hope you're having a great day as we come to you from the Citizens Bank studio. I have Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Jeff and I had a long conversation today about artificial intelligence and just in general, just the advancements of artificial intelligence. And I did a query in Grok about the NFL. I won't go through it, but Jeff, I'll send it to you. They're using it in a bunch of different ways, and it looks like it's evolving rapidly, just like it is in every industry. You would expect that they would do that. I mean, one of the very first thing that it notes is the next gen stats is all powered by AWS, and it's a machine learning tool in the way that they're using it. It's going to continue to advance, and the metrics that it's developing are based on AI, machine learning, and so on. So it's going to be interesting how that all plays out. But I'll send you the whole query response so you can have it. Okay, so coming back, the Saints are back. Or the coaches are back, excuse me. And so it's this is an important beginning to the off season for them. They've got a lot of work to do to kind of shore up this team, don't they?
Yeah, Kellen Moore gave the staff basically about 10 days off. He's a big believer, and it's a long grind. I mean, you're not digging ditches, but you are kind of there from July all the way through to the start of January. So he likes the coaches to get away, get to spend time with their families. They haven't had enough time doing that. And then they'll get back this week and start performing the autopsy on the 2025 season and going through, what they need to address this off season, self-scouting projects that they will assign to the staff, and then begin the process of player procurement, which starts with free agency in February, and then goes into, obviously, the NFL draft. That's why I always tell people, Ricky, we already start, look, I'm in the media, so, this is what we do, turn our attention to the draft immediately. And I think I've said it on your show a bunch of times. When you start seeing these mock drafts right now, just try as best you can to ignore them, because the teams have not even started performing mock drafts. They haven't even started having draft meetings. Obviously, the college scouting department has. They've done all the work. That's what they do. They've been evaluating. Jeff Ireland and his crew, they've been on the road, putting grades on players, all that. But the rest of the front office, the rest of the coaching staff, they don't know who the top prospects are from Adam. And they won't until they get into that after free agency. So it's just so early in the process. That's why I always laugh when I hear people say in April, they go, wow, this guy climbed the board. Well, no, he didn't. They just started putting the boards together in the last few weeks. There was no board in January. That's not when the boards are – that's when – Bleacher Report and all those people are putting boards together, but that's not the NFL teams. And I know it's fun to speculate, and certainly some of the players that are at the top now will be at the top in April. But just try to temper your enthusiasm. I know it's a long way to April.
Hey, Jeff, real quick, coming back to this point that you made about giving the coaches time off, et cetera. I remember when I joined a major we call it a re-engineering effort. It was a major corporate reorganization for Knight Ridder that I was involved in. And we went to Boston. There were 12 of us on what they called the core team. And they brought a magician in and entertained us. And then we spent a week or two, I don't remember exactly the time frame, but just doing team building, all kinds of different team building together. When I was in the leadership program for Nate Ritter, we did an outward bound experience down in the Florida Keys. It was an amazing thing. But the reason I mention that is that, a lot of people think when you form an effort of a team of people coming together, you just jump right in and get moving. And some NFL teams certainly do that. But Kellen Moore really believes that he ought to create opportunities for the team to get to know each other so they can be true brothers with one another. It was interesting when you talked about them going bowling together and the things that they were doing at the beginning of the season. It's interesting that many of them noted those activities at the end of the season, the way they formed and came together as a team and all of that. Kellen really gets that part, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. And look, a lot of coaches do. It's not uncommon, I would say. They did it often during Sean Payton's tenure. I just think you find ways to bond as a team outside of that facility. You're at in those same meeting rooms and, all kinds of hours during the day. So you try to get them outside of that element and to do things outside of Airline Drive. I think it's important. You mix it up, who players are with. The cliques tend to develop just like any big group at school or in an office. You have cliques. They try their best to let you get to know other people in the building. And I think he believes in that. He was a former player. He understands that's an important part of the alchemy of a football team. And it certainly worked. I think another big reason why it worked is the Saints have such strong leaders on this team and guys like DeMario Davis and Cam Jordan. We talk about it all the time, but it's real. And I don't think they recover from 1-8 without that strong locker room leadership.
Hey, Cam's talking like he's coming back.
Oh, yeah, he's been saying that all along. I mean, I think it's going to come down to, what can they reach a number that they're both happy with. He took a hometown discount a year ago. I don't know if that's going to happen again this year after the year he had. I would imagine, though, both sides are motivated to make it work. It'll happen.
Very interesting. Listen, anything else about the Saints? Because I want to ask you real quick about LSU and their schedule and how it's going to be a lot of drama going into this next college football season. It's going to be fun to watch, that is for sure. But anything else about the Saints before we shift gears?
Not really. Look, I think Tyler Shuck, is the reason for optimism. We've talked about it before. I think it's just amazing what a quarterback can do to change things. Without Tyler Shuck's development, I think we could be talking about a different story right now. But he has given hope to this organization. I know everyone in the organization is excited about the offseason. It makes things so much easier when you have that position taken care of. And looking back on that draft, when you get your left tackle and Kelvin Banks Jr. and Tyler Shuck as a quarterback, those are two of the 5 most important positions on a team. And you get those in one draft. That's a big, big feather in the cap of the front office. I know a lot of people were down on the front office, right? I mean, we talked about it. There were people ready to, pillory Mickey Loomis, but they had a really good offseason. You start to look at what they did last year to get prepared with the draft, the trades they made from Devon Vele and Jalen Polk and some of the other moves, Luke Fortner. They had a good year, I would say, overall.
Yeah, very good. Well, you cover LSU. You may even be writing a book at some point about all of this. What is your current read on where they are and the drama that's going to be attached to their schedule already, just if you look at the first 3 games?
Well, more than that, I mean, I think where we're at right now, I mean, it's interesting to me how college football has evolved with the transfer portal. I mean, the transfer portal has become the thing that everyone gets excited about, not National Signing Day the way it used to be. The players now in the portal are way more important to roster building in this day and age than high school recruits. I think that's fascinating to see that evolution. And certainly Lane Kiffin, when he came in, one of the reasons he took the LSU job was the commitment they gave him contractually to bolster the roster. I think they committed $25 to $30 million a year to roster building. That's an insane amount of money. And what he's done in the last couple of weeks has been impressive. I mean, they've got the number one transfer portal class in the country. They have the number one quarterback, the number one edge rusher, who came from Ole Miss, by the way, the number one safety. I mean, you just go down the list. They're still in the market for the top left tackle. So he's gotten to work. And I'd say, for all the criticisms we've seen of Lane Kiffin, maybe more personal than professional, one thing no one says about him is he definitely works. And they're putting in the work there to get these players. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
It is. I mean, what about the schedule? It's going to that Ole Miss game is going to be crazy.
Here's the other thing I would say. I've never seen quite the enthusiasm that's been generated over the last month. I mean, Verge Osbury just said the other day, 31,000 people have applied for new season tickets. That's an all-time record there. Sponsorships are up 30%. So the early returns on the Kiffin investment are paying off now. They've got to win games, and the schedule is unbelievable this year. They open the year against Clemson in Tiger Stadium. That's going to be an amazing game, Lane Kiffin's first game. Week 3, they go to Oxford for that rematch. That's going to be the most hostile road game maybe ever played by LSU because of the Lane Kiffin situation. And then they have back-to-back home games against Texas with Arch Manning, who's going to be probably the top Heisman Trophy candidate next year, coming in, and then Alabama. Just an incredible schedule. And it's going to be, no matter what side of the fence you fall in onto with Lane Kiffin, it's going to be compelling theater. People are going to be watching them. I saw somebody say the other day that LSU is now like the Dallas Cowboys of college football. I think it's a perfect description. You either hate them, you either love them, or you love to hate them. I think there's no in between right now.
I'm in an odd space because you know how I feel about Lane Kiffin, but I've always been a supporter of LSU. But your point, I like the way you said that. Is it personal or professional? Personally, I think he's a mess, but professionally, he's one of the best. So, how can you not be intrigued by LSU? And that sounds so crazy for me to say that, given what I've said about Lane Kiffin. But I don't like the way he exited Ole Miss. But here we are. This is the way it is in this new world. Jeff, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you, my friend.
All right, Ricky, we'll talk next week, hopefully after Snowmageddon avoids us.
For sure. Stay safe, my friend. We'll see you. We'll be back after this break.